Alex Thompson stood in his modest Seattle apartment, leaning against the kitchen counter as the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. He glanced at the clock on the wall. It was 7:30 a.m., and his fiancée, Emily, was still in the bedroom. They had planned to share breakfast together before she left for her first client meeting at her new job with a prestigious downtown marketing firm. "Emily, your coffee is getting cold," Alex called out, his voice carrying a hint of impatience. "Coming." Emily's voice echoed from the bedroom. Moments later, she appeared, her blonde hair swept back into a sleek ponytail. Her blue eyes sparkled, and she wore a crisp white blouse Alex hadn't seen before. The blouse's pristine fabric contrasted sharply with her tan skin, giving her a polished and professional look. Alex couldn't help but smile as he handed her the coffee mug. Their fingers brushed briefly, a fleeting yet intimate connection. "Don't you look sharp today?" he said warmly. Emily accepted the mug with a soft smile. "Thanks. First client meeting today. Got to make a good impression." "You'll knock them dead," Alex assured her confidently. They sat together at their small kitchen table as sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the cozy space. Outside, the city bustled with distant sirens, the hum of traffic, and the chirping of birds brave enough to venture into the urban landscape. "Any plans after work?" Alex asked casually as they sipped their coffee. Emily hesitated for a split second before replying. "Oh, some of the team might grab drinks. Networking, you know." Alex nodded. "Sounds fun. Just don't stay out too late. We've still got that movie marathon planned." "I wouldn't miss it," Emily promised with a smile, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. It had been 6 months since Emily landed her dream job, and Alex had been her biggest cheerleader, celebrating every milestone in her career. They had been together for over a decade, high school sweethearts who had faced every challenge as a team. But lately, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Emily seemed distant, her focus elsewhere. She started staying out later, often citing work events, and occasionally didn't come home at all, saying she'd stayed at her sister Sarah's place to avoid a long commute. The growing distance gnawed at Alex, though he tried not to let it show. One evening, as Alex tidied up the living room, his phone buzzed with a message. It was from Jake, a friend from the gym. "Hey man, haven't seen you around lately. Been busy. Might swing by tomorrow," Alex replied, glancing at the framed photo on the shelf. It was a picture of him and Emily at Cannon Beach, arms wrapped around each other, with the endless ocean stretching behind them. It was one of their favorite places, full of memories from happier times. His thoughts were interrupted by the sound of keys jingling at the door. Emily entered, her cheeks flushed and her energy subdued. "Hey!" Alex greeted her. "How was work?" "Long day," she sighed, slipping off her heels. "I think I'll head to bed early." "Everything okay?" he asked, concern creeping into his voice. "Just tired," she replied with a weak smile. "Client meetings are draining." Alex watched her retreat to the bedroom, a knot of unease forming in his stomach. A few weeks later, over dinner, Emily mentioned an upcoming weekend trip with her coworkers. "We're heading to Ocean Shores for a team-building retreat," she explained casually, brushing off the topic as if it were just another weekend. "That sounds exciting," Alex said, doing his best to sound enthusiastic. "Maybe we could plan our own trip soon." "Definitely." She nodded quickly, then changed the subject. As the weekend approached, Alex helped Emily pack her bag. "Don't forget sunscreen," he reminded her, tossing a bottle into her suitcase. "Thanks, Mom," she teased, pecking him on the cheek. "Very funny," he chuckled. "Have fun. Call me if you need anything." The weekend was unusually quiet for Alex. He kept himself busy with chores, caught up with friends, and even tried his hand at cooking a new recipe, which ended disastrously. He texted Emily a few times but received only short, delayed responses. When she returned Sunday evening, she looked drained. "How was the retreat?" Alex asked. "Productive," she replied curtly. "I'm exhausted. Do you mind if we catch up tomorrow? Sure, Alex said softly, watching her retreat to the bedroom once more. That night, as Alex lay in bed, doubts gnawed at him. Something didn't feel right. 2 days later, as they finished dinner, Emily cleared her throat. Alex, we need to talk, she said, avoiding his gaze. A chill ran through him. Okay, I think we should take a break, she said softly. Alex froze. What? Where is this coming from? Is there someone else? Emily hesitated before shaking her head. No, I need space to figure things out. Their relationship hung by a thread. Though Emily moved out temporarily, they eventually decided to try couples counseling. For a while, things seemed to improve and Emily moved back in. They worked on rebuilding trust, slowly piecing their lives back together. One evening, Emily came home with an unexpected announcement. Guess what? She beamed. What? Alex asked, his curiosity piqued. I'm pregnant. A wave of joy washed over Alex. He pulled her into a hug, spinning her around. That's amazing. They had been trying for a baby, and the news filled their lives with excitement. They threw themselves into planning their future. Doctor's appointments, nursery designs, and endless debates over baby names. Yet, a nagging doubt clung to Alex's thoughts. One night, as they lay in bed, he finally voiced it. Emily, would you be okay if we did a paternity test? Emily froze, her expression stricken. Why would you ask that? I don't know, Alex stammered. With everything that's happened, I think it might help put my mind at ease. Tears welled in Emily's eyes. She said nothing, leaving Alex to wonder if his fears were justified. Their relationship, a delicate mix of love and challenges, faced yet another storm. One evening, during what was meant to be a calm discussion, Alex tried to reassure her. It's not that I don't trust you, he began, his voice gentle. Emily cut him off sharply. No, if you loved me, you wouldn't need a test. She stormed out of the bedroom, leaving Alex feeling worse than before. The next morning, Emily was unusually quiet and distant. As Alex watched her sip her coffee in silence, he felt a growing chasm between them. A silence that screamed louder than words. Alex decided he needed to address the tension from the night before. About last night, he began, but she raised her hand to stop him. We need to talk, Emily said, her voice trembling. Alex braced himself for what she might say. After a pause, Emily finally admitted, I've been hiding something. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. I cheated on you. The words hit Alex like a punch to the gut. He sat there stunned as she continued. During the beach trip, I met someone. Mark. It happened. I'm so sorry. The betrayal was crushing, but her next words drove the knife even deeper. I think the baby is his, she admitted, her voice cracking. Alex stood abruptly and began pacing, his thoughts racing. How could you do this? He demanded, his voice filled with pain and anger. I don't have an excuse, Emily sobbed. I was confused, and things between us weren't great. But it was a mistake, I swear. A mistake? Alex echoed bitterly. You lied to me. You made me believe we were rebuilding this relationship. And all along, I'm sorry, she repeated, tears streaming down her face. Alex couldn't bear to stay any longer. Grabbing his keys, he headed for the door. I need to get out of here, he said firmly. Please don't go, she pleaded desperately. We can work through this. But Alex shook his head, his voice breaking as tears welled up in his eyes. I don't see how shattered trust. Alex moved back in with his parents, his entire world in pieces. Days blurred into each other as he struggled to process Emily's betrayal. She tried reaching out to him repeatedly, calling and texting, but he ignored every attempt. One afternoon, while Alex was sitting in his childhood home, Emily unexpectedly appeared on his parents' doorstep. Alex, she begged, her eyes red and swollen. Please talk to me. Reluctantly, Alex stepped outside and closed the door behind him. "What do you want?" he asked coldly. "I've scheduled an appointment," she said quietly, "for an abortion. I thought you should know." Alex was taken aback. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I don't want to hide anything anymore," she explained. "Mark doesn't want the baby, and I can't do this alone." Despite his anger and pain, Alex still cared for her on some level. After a moment of hesitation, he offered, "I'll drive you." The drive to the clinic was silent, the tension between them almost unbearable. After the procedure, Alex brought her back to their apartment. "Thank you," she murmured as they reached the door. He nodded, unsure of what to say. "Can we talk inside?" she asked quietly. Alex hesitated, but eventually agreed. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the emotional distance between them palpable. "I know I don't deserve forgiveness," Emily began, her voice shaking. "But I want to try to make things right." Alex looked at her, his expression softening just slightly. "Emily," he said, his voice heavy with sadness, "I need time. You broke my trust in the worst possible way." "I understand," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. They sat in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. In the weeks that followed, Alex focused on moving forward. He arranged to collect his belongings from the apartment, carefully coordinating times to ensure Emily wouldn't be there. While packing, he stumbled upon a hidden stash of letters in Emily's nightstand. Curiosity got the better of him, and he began to read. The letters detailed her affair with Mark, their plans to run away together, her doubts about staying with Alex, and Mark's ultimate rejection of her when he learned about the pregnancy. Anger flared within Alex. Not only had Emily betrayed him, but she had seriously considered leaving him without a word. Without a second glance, he left the apartment, leaving his key on the counter. Back at his parents' house, Alex made a decision. It was time to sever all ties with Emily. He blocked her number, deleted their photos, and removed every trace of her from his life. One evening, his friend Jake stopped by with a six-pack of beer. "Thought you could use some company," Jake said with a supportive smile. "Thanks," Alex replied, managing a weak smile in return. As they sat on the porch, Jake reminisced about old times. "Remember that hike where we got lost? We thought we were barefoot," Jake said, grinning. Alex chuckled, the memory lifting his spirits. "How could I forget?" Jake patted him on the back. "You're going to get through this, man." "I know." Alex nodded, his resolve strengthening. "It's just going to take time. A new beginning." Months passed, and Alex began rediscovering himself. He threw himself into his work, picked up old hobbies like hiking and photography, and even started volunteering at a local animal shelter. One day, while grabbing coffee at his favorite cafe, he accidentally bumped into a woman. As he turned from the counter, they both said sorry at the same time, then laughed. Alex looked up and met her eyes, warm hazel eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. "I'm Lily," she introduced herself. "Alex," he replied, smiling back. They chatted for a while and discovered a mutual love for the outdoors. "Maybe I'll see you on the trail sometime," she suggested. "Looking forward to it," Alex grinned. That evening, Alex felt lighter than he had in a long time. Sitting on his balcony with his guitar, he strummed a familiar tune, the notes floating into the night sky. His phone buzzed with a message from Emily. "I heard about the volunteering. I'm glad you're doing well. Take care." Alex stared at the message for a moment before deleting it, looking out at the city lights. He took a deep breath. The future was uncertain, but he was ready to embrace it. "To new beginnings," he whispered to himself, picking up his guitar again. He played a melody that carried him forward into the promise of tomorrow.